In Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, Sasori's tilt had near instant startup and looped into itself indefinitely. Meanwhile, his shuriken did double or maybe even triple the damage of regular characters. These attacks were so strong that most Sasori players ignored combos completely, and that, my friends, is what spam looks like. In my last video, I covered the dark history of spam in Storm 2, Generations, and Storm 3, so today we're wrapping it up with Revolution, Storm 4, and Connections, the final era of spam. Just remember, this list isn't meant to be comprehensive, but rather I'm detailing the kind of spam I personally experienced playing these games. If there's a spam method I missed, mention it in the comments so other people will know what you went through. Without further ado, let's get into it. When Revolution dropped in 2014, it was clear that CC2 was trying to balance things better, but with new characters came new attacks worth spamming. EMS Sasuke had a powerful tilt that shot a barrage of arrows while giving him armor, and Rasa's jutsu was broken up close and from a distance. However, even with attacks like these in the game, there was a new universal mechanic worth spamming even more. Enter the counter. Press R2 square, and if your opponent attacks, boom, fully stunned. The reward was massive and there was barely any risk associated with using it. The only penalties were a small chakra bar reduction and a brief window to be punished. The stun was so great that certain characters could follow up with 2 full combos, or just pop an ultimate.
Let's do it.
Sweaty players would throw out counters constantly, turning Revolution from an offensive spam meta to a defensive spam meta. Anytime they felt threatened, anytime you got too close, boom, they would counter. CC2 nerfed this mechanic in every game after, but counter spam was enough to almost single-handedly ruin Revolution. Another new feature added to Revolution were the battle types. Players could now choose between Ultimate Jutsu type, Awakening type, or Drive type. Each had their own powers and abilities, as well as their own unique ways to spam. Ultimate Jutsu types would, as you guessed, spam their ultimates. This was something possible mostly with the newcomers. Edo Minato players would stay back and throw out their ultimate non-stop, in the hopes a stray kunai would hit the opponent. This was much more likely than you think since his ultimate covers such a wide arc. Players on the receiving end of this would have to stop and respect the ultimate every time, or risk losing a massive chunk of health. Obito and Madara players were infamous for spamming their ultimate jutsus, because even if they were hit out of the animation, the attacks would still come out. This meant unsuspecting players would often get hit even while landing their own combos. Awakening types could flick the analog stick to awaken on the spot, and after filling the storm gauge, they could transform into their true awakening for even more power. Mecha Naruto was a massive problem in this game because he had a broken instant awakening that gave him godly speed, huge damage, and a laser projectile. If you think it's possible to be an instant awakened spammer, then Mecha Naruto players were the culprits. Overall, a very spammy character. Drive types were based around the support drive system, so it was pretty spammy by nature. Players could flick the analog stick to switch between offensive support drive and defensive support drive at any time. Pairing this type with puppets like Shippuden Kankuro created nearly unbreakable defense, meaning these players would rarely switch off guard. After activating Drive Type 2, the assist would both attack and defend automatically. This includes the Cover Fire ability, where they would throw shuriken alongside the player. Spam hell. Overall, Revolution had a short lifespan, so it's unsure what kind of other spam methods players would have found, but this wasn't the case with the next game. Storm 4 was a fan favorite game in the series, but with a long lifespan came a long time for players to break the game. There are countless ways to spam in this game, but the most definitive ways involved the new leader switch mechanic. The first method was Jutsu Tag Buffering. This exploit let players use Jutsu at absolutely 0 chakra cost. Load chakra, tag, press circle. That's it. Any chakra you use for the jutsu will instantly regenerate. For reference, games like Generations, which were infamous for jutsu spam, only gave you 3 jutsus per chakra bar. So imagine what it was like when players could use them for free. Popular picks included Sasuke's Kagutsuchi Fireball because it nullified other projectiles, and Hashirama's Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu. Keep in mind that in this game, you can switch with only half of the assist gauge. Players had no reason not to use this constantly, so Storm 4 was quickly overrun with jutsu spam. And then, another method of leader switch spam involved picking characters with lengthy jutsus and then endlessly tagging between them. In particular, Shisui and Tobi. These two had jutsus that lingered on screen for long periods of time, which meant you could swap between them endlessly, charge in between, and just keep spamming. This was possible because the game lets you tag between characters for free as long as they're already out on the field. The longer the jutsu animation, the longer the window to swap. This was so dominant it was often banned in competitive play. And if that wasn't bad enough, Storm 4 also had to be one of the worst games for shuriken spam in the entire series. Tayuya became playable for the first time in this game. She could hide behind her demon summons, and despite being a ranged character, she had access to normal shuriken in the air. This made her one of the most effective shuriken spammers of all time. Then there was anyone with the cover fire assist. Tamari was popular because her cover fire had full stun and could lead to combos, jutsus, or anything else. Players abused this non-stop throughout the game's lifespan. There's far too many exploits, glitches, and spam methods to cover for this one game, but remember, it had the longest lifespan of any Storm game. It didn't take the next game, Connections, even 1 year to become overrun with spammers. If Storm 4 spam was defined by complexity and exploits, then the Connections era marked a return to simplicity. Several jutsu were strong enough to be spammed on their own, without any fancy tech backing them up. Some of the worst, most spammable characters included Indra. His Amaterasu comes out even if you hit him. The guaranteed activation means getting close to him is always a threat. Ashura. His projectile jutsu stuns on block and chains into itself, creating suffocating offense. Supporting Kage Sasuke. Spammable jutsu that goes through everything. Players will spam both the regular and charged version for the entire game, then they will try to swap you into the flames constantly. Don't expect these players to engage with you in any other way. Edo Minato. His secondary jutsu teleports to the opponent. It gives you a full combo on hit and is safe on block. This was everywhere in early Connections. Armored jutsus. Moves like Lightning Blade and Rasengan now come with enhanced armor, cutting through dashes and most close range attacks. Tobirama. His water dragon now shoots 3 projectiles instead of 1, and when combined with Awakening action, he's one of the best projectile spammers in the entire series. Connections also has some of the most broken assists we've seen in this series since Generations. It's weird to say players spammed assists since they have to recharge, but yeah, they kind of spam assists in this game. Popular choices are always something like Naruto's Clone Barrage because it locks you down forever, Kakashi's Kamui because it's unblockable and it stuns forever, Indra and Ashura, their assists are good for the same reason their jutsus are. Players are very reliant on these to the point that they would turtle and wait for their assists before making any kind of meaningful approach. Then, just like in Storm 4, you can leader switch spam thanks to the generous switch window. Jutsu swap, jutsu swap, jutsu swap. I like to use characters like Naruto because he charges chakra faster, meaning you can keep this up for much longer. If you do this right, you can effectively keep your characters out for the entire duration of the match. It looks silly, but it's actually somewhat practical and takes a bit of timing. Experiment with characters to see how they work together, and then you can make this game a true 3v3 fighting game. And that's how spam evolved in the Storm franchise. From Revolution's counter madness to Storm 4's tag spam, to Connection's simplistic jutsu spam, spamming has always changed, but it never dies. Drop a comment if I missed your favorite, or least favorite spam method, and if you enjoy this, consider subbing. If we get another Storm game, I'm sure I'll have to make a part 3, so I'll see you then.